Have you ever thought about how one person's betrayal could change the entire course of history? What if Voldemort's rise to power depended not on his own abilities, but on the cowardice of a single wizard? In today's video, you will find out why Peter Pettigrew from Harry Potter became a traitor and what happened to him. Few characters in Harry Potter are as despised as Peter Pettigrew. Unlike other villains who at least had their reasons, however twisted, for choosing the dark side, Peter was different. He started as a friend, as one of the good guys, yet betrayed everyone who trusted him. And his betrayal led to the greatest tragedy of the wizarding world. From the moment he stepped into Hogwarts, something felt off. Gryffindor was the house of bravery, yet Peter was neither brave nor strong. He was weak, always clinging to those more powerful than him. That's how he became part of the Marauders, James Potter, Sirius Black, and Remus Lupin. But was he ever really one of them? James was indifferent to Peter, treating him like a harmless tag-along. Sirius, however, despised him. He mocked him, belittled him, and never saw him as an equal. Peter smiled, laughed along, but deep inside resentment was growing. Resentment that would one day lead to the ultimate betrayal. When Voldemort's war began, the Marauders stood against him. At first, so did Peter. But deep down, he had always craved power. And who could offer more power than the Dark Lord himself? Perhaps it wasn't just fear that made him switch sides. Perhaps after years of being the weakling, Peter finally saw a chance to matter. To prove his loyalty to Voldemort, he did the unthinkable. He became the secret keeper for the Potters' hiding place. Instead of protecting them, he led the Dark Lord straight to them. And just like that, James and Lily Potter were gone. But Peter wasn't finished yet. When Sirius confronted him, he played his final trick, framing Sirius for the betrayal. In a single moment, he killed 12 innocent people, faked his own death, and left Sirius to rot in Azkaban. The perfect crime. For 12 years, he lived in hiding as a rat, not just figuratively, literally, disguised as Ron Weasley's pet. He avoided capture, unnoticed and forgotten. But fate had other plans. A single photograph in a newspaper gave him away. Sirius, locked in Azkaban, saw the image and knew the truth. Sirius escaped. He found Peter. And in a tense confrontation, the truth was finally revealed. Yet, in a twist of irony, it was Harry Potter who spared Peter's life. A decision that would later cost the wizarding world dearly. Peter fled once again, but this time he had only one place left to go. He sought out his old master, Voldemort. Weak and powerless, the Dark Lord needed Peter just as much as Peter needed him. Together they began the dark ritual that would bring Voldemort back. Peter paid a heavy price for his loyalty. He sacrificed his own hand in the resurrection ritual, earning a new magical silver one from Voldemort. But loyalty meant nothing to the Dark Lord. Peter was no longer useful. He became nothing more than a servant, given only the most degrading tasks. His final moments were as pathetic as the life he had lived. When he hesitated to kill Harry just for a second, his own enchanted hand, gifted by Voldemort, turned against him. It strangled him where he stood, punishing him for his moment of weakness. Peter Pettigrew died the way he had lived, powerless and alone. In the movies, this moment was erased, but in the books it was the perfect ending for a man whose betrayals shaped the fate of the wizarding world. Peter Pettigrew was never the kind of wizard one would expect to find in Gryffindor. He was small, timid, and relied on stronger friends to protect him. Yet the Sorting Hat placed him in the House of Courage. Was this a mistake, or did it see something others missed? The Sorting Hat had a history of making strange choices. It put Neville Longbottom in Gryffindor even though he doubted himself for years. It nearly placed Harry in Slytherin, sensing ambition and cunning. But Peter? He lacked the boldness of James Potter, the recklessness of Sirius Black, and the quiet resilience of Remus Lupin. What, then, made him a Gryffindor? Courage isn't always loud. It isn't always about standing in the front lines or charging into battle. Sometimes it's the ability to take risks, even when those risks are selfish. Peter's entire life was defined by fear, but fear itself doesn't make a coward. His choices did. He dared to betray the people who trusted him. He dared to join the Dark Lord when everyone else resisted. Was it cowardice, or was it a twisted kind of bravery? Even Voldemort recognized Peter's use. "You return to me, not out of loyalty, but out of fear of your old friends," he sneered, in The Goblet of Fire. And yet Peter did return. He sought out the most powerful wizard of the time, alone, without knowing if he would be welcomed or destroyed. That act, though rooted in desperation, required courage. A different kind of courage. The Sorting Hat saw something deep inside him that few noticed. It saw his willingness to act, even under pressure. It saw a boy who, despite his fears, would make choices that changed history. Peter was never strong, but strength was not the only mark of a Gryffindor. Perhaps the hat knew he would be tested one day. Perhaps it believed he would make the right choice. For a moment he almost did. When he had the chance to kill Harry Potter at Malfoy Manor, he hesitated. The boy had once spared his life. Something in Peter wavered. It was the last shred of the boy who had been friends with James and Sirius, the last flicker of a Gryffindor spirit. But the hand Voldemort had gifted him sensed his weakness. It turned against him, ending his life in an instant. Dumbledore once said, "It is our choices that show what we truly are, far more than our abilities." Peter had a choice, over and over again. He could have been brave in the way Gryffindors were meant to be. He could have fought against Voldemort instead of for him. But he never did. His courage was always twisted, always in the service of his own survival. If Peter had been placed in Slytherin, perhaps he would have found his place among the ambitious and cunning. If he had been in Hufflepuff, perhaps loyalty would have defined him instead of betrayal. But the Sorting Hat placed him in Gryffindor, believing he had the potential for something greater. In the end, he proved that courage, without integrity, is just another tool for destruction. His story is a warning, a reminder that bravery alone does not make a hero. It must be guided by something more. Peter had the heart of a Gryffindor, but he lacked the soul of one. And that was his greatest tragedy.